It's no secret that Harry Potter battled Voldemort, found the Horcruxes, destroyed him, had a huge final battle in the Great Hall of Hogwarts known as the Last Stand. Harry Potter wins, good triumphs over evil, and all is well. That was literally the final words of the book. Well, all was well, but that's how it's left. Harry was okay and he moved on with his life. Except Harry was not okay. Nobody was okay. The Dark Lord was gone forever, but the lasting effects of war, the lasting effects of all the prior suffering, the lasting effects of Voldemort's actions took its toll on everyone, including Harry, and in today's video, I'm going to examine the aftermath of the Wizarding War and basically examine what happened to Harry and why it truly wasn't a victory for him, but instead a painful loss that haunted him for the rest of his life. Harry Potter lost, accepted, and here's what happened. J.K. Rowling has always said that Harry Potter was a sad story. It didn't have a happy ending, and it didn't have a happy beginning either. It just had an end result, a positive outcome in the fact that Voldemort was now dead and his tyranny would now stop. However, the damage had already been done, the suffering was irreversible, and the aftermath became a time of grieving and mourning. Yes, people were happy that Harry beat Voldemort, that Voldemort was gone for good, but the cost was huge, and it affected Harry more than anyone. Harry's journey was marked by so much loss. He experienced the deaths of Cedric Diggory, Sirius Black, Albus Dumbledore, Remus Lupin, Fred Weasley, among many others. These losses, they piled up, creating a deep sense of sorrow, survivor's guilt, and an emotional burden for Harry. Guys, before we start, I'd like to talk about today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark offer you an incredibly powerful VPN to protect your internet privacy. In today's computer age, hackers are constantly trying to gain access to your bank account details, your social media passwords, and access to your personal information, amongst many other things. This can all be prevented when browsing under Surfshark's protection. Not only does it protect your privacy, it also offers you a lot more. Different countries have different viewing restrictions on what content can be viewed. Therefore, by logging into a VPN based in another country, you can gain access to that content that may be blocked in the country that you live in. For those of you who've always wanted to watch the full 8 Harry Potter movies on Netflix, but haven't been able to in your own country, you can simply select Turkey on your Surfshark VPN location and have full access to every single one of them. It's that simple. If you join Surfshark today, you'll get 3 extra months for free. All you have to do is enter my code POTTER. You'll also be able to use Surfshark on as many devices as you like. There's no limits. And finally, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Basically, if you're not happy, if you're not satisfied, then your money will be returned. It's a no-brainer, guys. So sign up to Surfshark right now by clicking the link in the description below. The effect of these traumas can be seen in Harry's behaviour and mental state throughout the series. He experiences nightmares, flashes of the past, and moments of, you could describe it as, intense emotional distress. The weight of his losses and the constant exposure to danger contribute to the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, such as hypervigilance, intrusive memories, and emotional numbing. Harry was driven forward by a desire to get to the finish line. He didn't have much time to linger on those he lost. He still had work to do. It was only when it was finally all over that Harry really get to step back and just look around and see what had just occurred. It's important to recognize that overcoming such profound trauma is not a simple process. While Harry ultimately defeated Voldemort, the scars of his experience remained. Something that really plagued Harry was survivor's guilt. He firmly believes that those who died in the war died not just for him, but because of him. It left him questioning why he was chosen to survive while others, such as his parents and his friends, suffered and died. He often grappled with feelings of unworthiness and the weight of the sacrifices made by those who believed in him. This guilt haunted him and left him questioning his own value and purpose. This burden of survivor's guilt was further compounded by the fact that Harry often found himself in situations where others put themselves in harm's way to protect him. He blamed himself for the suffering and hardships endured by his friends, particularly during their Horcrux hunt in the Deathly Hallows. He believed that he dragged them into danger and that they were facing grave risks because of their association with him. So this burden of survivor's guilt added a complex layer to Harry's mental state. It shaped his feelings of self-worth, led to moments of self-doubt, and influenced his decisions and actions. Overcoming survivor's guilt would require a journey of self-forgiveness and the acceptance that he couldn't control the choices others made to protect him. Although Harry was aware of this while it was happening, it was the aftermath of the war where he could finally have moments of thought to himself, where he could digest what happened, where the guilt just completely absorbed him. And something that also must have crossed Harry's mind was his sense of purpose, was his identity. He was about to sincerely discover who he truly was. Harry's identity became deeply intertwined with his role as the boy who lived, and the one destined to destroy or defeat Lord Voldemort. This identity was, you could say, thrust upon him from a young age, and it defined much of his life and experiences. However, after Voldemort's downfall, Harry had to grapple with a sense of purposeness and navigate his place in a world that no longer needed him as a savior. This post-Voldemort era forced Harry to confront his own desires, his own dreams, his own aspirations. He needed to discover his own identity separate from the prophecy and the expectations placed upon him by others while he was battling Voldemort. This process involved a journey of self-definition. So the battle itself also left a lot of unanswered questions for Harry, as he didn't know what was happening to everyone due to the fact that Harry was so preoccupied with the ongoing fight. This meant that he may not have had witnessed or fully comprehended the extent of the losses and sacrifices that occurred during the battle. The lack of closure and comprehensive understanding of what transpired could leave Harry with lingering questions and a sense of unfinished business. This lack of closure can create a sense of unrest and uncertainty. It may lead to constant questioning of what could have been and what could have been done differently, or what the future now holds. This can also prevent full emotional closure, hindering the healing process. Harry's trust was constantly tested throughout the series, especially at the peak of the Deathly Hallows book. People were changing sides, allegiances were switching, Harry didn't know who was who and what was what. One of the most significant instances of betrayal was the revelation that his close friend Ron Weasley temporarily abandoned him during their search for Horcruxes in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This betrayal deeply wounded Harry, and it created a sense of skepticism and wariness towards those closest to him. If Ron left, then what's to say anybody else couldn't leave? It is also important to note that these trust issues were not unfounded. Harry's wariness was a product of the dangerous and uncertain world he inhabited. Ron's return did restore some faith, but Harry's trust in general was never the same after Voldemort's defeat. He also had to go through the harsh reality of experiencing the loss of those closest to him. I mentioned that briefly earlier, but let's go into detail. And he also had to experience everyone else's losses. These losses of parental figures had a profound impact on Harry's mental well-being. Each loss intensified his feelings of grief, abandonment, and longing for the parental love and guidance he had never fully received. The absence of these guiding figures created a void in his life and forced Harry to confront his own vulnerability and his own independence. Then there was the public eye, or the media. Harry had just done what everyone thought he was born to do. It was one thing to be the boy who lived, but to go on and be the boy who vanquished Voldemort just skyrocketed him into superstardom. The media attention placed a significant burden on Harry's shoulders. He was able to navigate the expectations and the pressure that came with being seen as the saviour of the Wizarding World, but the public and the media now looked to him for guidance, now looked to him for leadership and reassurance in the aftermath of Voldemort's defeat. So this constant attention and scrutiny from the media affected Harry's mental being in another way. First, it stripped away his privacy, as his every move and action became subject to scrutiny and speculation. He had to constantly be mindful of his public image, which added an additional layer of stress and anxiety to his already new, challenging life. Secondly, the media's portrayal of Harry as a hero created an idealized version of him that was difficult to live up to, because it wasn't just Harry that was the hero. Everyone who fought with Harry was a hero. Everyone who died with Harry was a hero. But the public had high expectations of just Harry, and felt that the weight of those expectations placed upon his shoulders could have more consequences. It created a fear of failure within Harry and a sense of inadequacy as he tried to match the heroic image that had been created for him. Then there was the healing and rebuilding process for not just Harry but for everyone, for the Wizarding world. Rebuilding involved repairing physical structures and institutions that were damaged during the war. For example, Hogwarts suffered significant damage, and efforts were needed to restore it to its former glory. This process required time, resources, and a collective effort, of which contributed to a sense of ongoing responsibility and the need for resilience. However, while that rebuilding was more of a physical and construction-based merit, for Harry and his friends, the healing process included coming to terms with their own individual traumas and finding ways to move forward. They had to grapple with the aftermath of their experiences, not just Harry, but Ron and Hermione. They all had to confront their emotions and seek support and heal in their own ways. This led to Harry now trying to rebuild his own life, trying to move forward, trying to find happiness after the battle, and that meant learning to live in the present and embracing life's joys. It meant allowing himself to experience happiness again without guilt or the weight of past traumas. For Harry, this journey involved cultivating meaningful relationships, pursuing his interests, and finding fulfillment beyond the context of war. It's important to note that finding happiness does not mean forgetting or minimalizing the pain of the past. It means embracing the full range of emotions and experiences that life offers, while acknowledging and integrating the lessons learned from past hardships. So, there you have it, guys. That's my video on why Harry was never the same and why Harry Potter truly lost. If you have anything you want to add, then please feel free to do so in the comment section below.